This is why regulation is the best thing that can happen to the crypto market. The crypto market needs regulation. I said it, and you can see I'm being dead serious here. And the purpose of this video is to explain exactly why we need regulation. That's not to say that the market right now isn't regulated. There are certain regulations in place, but having that clinical clarity, that general rule of thumb that everyone understands, that framework, so that we know between right and wrong very clearly as builders, is needed. And it's needed right now. And I'm going to explain in a couple of sentences why. So the reason that it's needed is because there are millions of tokens launching every quarter. I mean, if we look at Q1 this year, 1.8 million tokens died alone. There are over 5 million tokens created. The majority of these tokens, completely speculative tokens. Most of them were meme tokens that might have lasted a day or two, if that, died, extracted a bit of value out of the market and moved on. This is not positive for crypto, letting millions of these tokens just launch time after time after time. This isn't a good thing. That's my opinion. The whole trenches element of trying to get in and out of a token before it gets rugged isn't healthy for the long-term growth of this market. Now, that's not to say that community-based coins and meme coins don't have a place in this market. They do, but we don't need 5 million of them every few months. You know, we just don't. It's an idiot's game to play, in my opinion. So we need something that precludes enabling millions of tokens to be launched. There needs to be a little bit of legwork that a project or builder has to do to go and launch a token in a legitimate way. And arguably a very questionable and controversial point that I'm going to make is that many tokens, even if they're utility tokens, they're altcoins, they launch a token in a way that's so distant from what they do because they want to make sure that it is just a speculative token. And the reason they do that is because there's unclarity of whether they're going to be classed as a security or not. And if they get classed as a security from a regulation standpoint, then there's a lot of legwork, a lot of expenses to actually go and become a security, like if you were, I don't know, issuing stocks as a company. This is a very time-intensive process. This is a very expensive process. And as a builder in crypto, it's just not something that you can afford to do. And at the same point in time, you don't want to launch a token that could be deemed as being a security, because then you're going to be put under so much pressure potentially from being categorized as a security that it's actually not going to be possible for you to continue operating as a business. So there needs to be a middle ground, and we don't really have that in crypto yet, which is why we need regulation. That's why I'm making this video. We need that regulation framework in the market that enables people to not just launch pointless tokens and rug people. That needs to be stopped. And then on the other side, we need the framework that supports tokens that actually want to provide value to their holders without being classed as security. They are the two key reasons why we need regulation, in my opinion. And when we dive into the latter a little bit more, what I mean by this is if a token is able to, and diving into that second point a little bit more, like I said, projects are scared of launching a token that has real value derived to it because they don't want to be classed as a security for good reason. And that's because it's just not logical for them to do that. It's not affordable. They don't have the resources to go down that route and bring a token to the market. So if we have some form of regulatory framework that enables real builders that are trying to build tokens that hold real value into being classed as a certain type of token, and there's a method to, and a framework to operate within that's affordable and possible for them to do, that would be great. And right now, people's mindsets need to adjust to realize that regulation isn't the enemy. Uncertainty is. Because there, as I mentioned in this video, there are parts of this industry that are hugely unsustainable. whether it's the ability for millions of tokens to launch and extract value from the market, pulling away liquidity from the projects that are really building, whether it's that side, or whether it's the side that real projects that are building are limiting themselves in terms of how much value they can provide to their token and token holders because there isn't a clear framework in place for how they can do that and operate in the right way. Whatever way it is, both of these things are driving crypto into being fundamentally unsustainable over the long term. And I am a big believer that once we have the last part of this market cycle, there's going to be a big rebuilding phase in crypto. And these two problems that I've outlined, these two reasons as to why we need fair regulation and frameworks in place to enable one of these things to be stopped and one of these things to be possible, this is what's going to happen after this market cycle. And it's going to help real projects stand out and build this industry in a sustainable way. But of course, as just people in crypto, we don't make the regulations. It's the bigger guys in this world that do just that. Trump has been very vocal about bringing in a fair regulatory framework. And that is just that. We need a fair regulatory framework. Calling for regulation and then for the industry to be completely overregulated, making it even harder for anyone to launch projects and do anything in this space. If that becomes the case, then that's not what the aim of this video is, right? We need regulation to solve the problems that are in crypto and build sustainability into this industry. That is what these policymakers should be thinking about. They should not be having the mindset of, oh, let's just go and overly regulate to stop consumer harm, because that is not going to grow one of the most promising industries that this world has. So there needs to be the right approach. From people that are in this industry every single day, what do they see as the biggest problems? What do they see as the things that are stopping this industry from growing, that good regulatory framework can enable this industry to move forward in the right way? That's the point in this video. And it's also a point for you guys that are building to realize and understand where we're currently at from this perspective and what might be happening around the corner. And also what a good approach looks like. If you're launching a project right now, you don't launch to rug, firstly. So you're not going to fall into that first category of just extraction, right? You're launching to build a real project, and you are trusting yourself and your team to do just that and go out there and create value. On the second side, of course, you're being careful. You're making sure that you don't cross any lines, but you're also making sure that you're adding as much value to the token without doing so. And again, I am not a lawyer. I have no legal background whatsoever, okay? This video is no legal advice or anything of that sort. The point is that you do need to be aware of this stuff. You do need to talk to professionals in this field that can tell you what to do and what not to do based on what's already in place and what the common understanding is from a regulation perspective. Because like I said, there is stuff in this industry that already is in place. But there's still two ends of this market, two big problems that are stopping sustainability, that we need tighter, not necessarily tighter, but we need clear regulatory frameworks around. And that's pretty much the aim of this video. But if you are launching, there is regulation around. So don't launch a project without considering what's already there, without speaking to an actual professional. Make sure you do that and you understand the clear picture of how you can move forward in this space in the right way. And as always, keep your eye on the future of this space. Where might we be going and heading towards? And for your weekly dose of that sort of stuff, make sure to hit the subscribe button on my channel, because I am trying to bring that future insight so that anyone that follows me, any of my people, are ahead of the game and they are going to make it big in this industry. So drop a subscribe button. I hope you found this video interesting and of use, and yeah, keep building. Let's move this industry forward and have a great day.